Kaya naman kayo, kayong kapwa Pilipino.
Wala nga kayong isang proof na confidential funds yan.
Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. Ako po si Christian Esguera and welcome po sa ating special Facts First episode ngayong araw pong ito. No? Meron po tayo multiple episodes again for today. And ngayon dito po, syempre, alam mo sabihin ko sa inyo, good evening. No? Pero syempre, babatiin ko kayo ng good evening dahil gabi nyo na po mapapanood ito. Pero we are recording this episode at exactly 12:43 in the afternoon today. April 29. Part 2 po ito nung isa po sa mga pinag-usapan natin kahapon patungkol po rito sa situation nitong Pugante na si Zaldico. Kasi nung kinundak po natin interview natin kahapon, hindi po binabanggit o hindi pa nagpe-press con yung Malacanang at di ba sinasabi ng Malacanang na nag-a-apply pala ng political asylum itong si Zaldico dyan po sa France. So ito po yung pag-uusapan natin dahil unti-unti po lumalabas yung mga detalye and we're also still validating the details pertaining to the situation of Zaldico. So nagbabalik po dito po sa ating programa. Isa po siya eksperto pagdating sa immigration law. Kausap po natin muli si Lou Jansen Dangzalan. Magandang umaga sa iyo dyan. Magandang tanghali dito sa amin at magandang gabi sa ating mga tagapanood at tagapakinig. Lou.
Magandang gabi sa mga tagapakinig. Salamat sa pagpaunlak.
Okay, sige, pag-usapan natin itong development, no? It turns out, syempre, Malacanang nagsabi nito, siguro naman confirmed ito, no? Base sa Malacanang, nag-a-apply ng political asylum itong si Zaldico at dyan sa France, no? How would this affect the push for by the government to get him back and face all the charges against him dito sa Pilipinas?
Sobrang anong tawag dito, parang prescient yung nasabi ko nung isang araw na parang medyo sorry nag-e-echo so medyo nakaka-distract. So medyo prescient yung nasabi ko last time na kung sakaling mag-apply man ng asylum si Mr. Ko, it would be a very different story. Pero I stopped it there kasi sabi ko, we were working with the presumption that he had a Portuguese passport. And if he did have a Portuguese passport, hindi siya pwedeng mag-apply ng asylum ng basta-basta lang within the European Union because he's a European citizen. And not only that, he would have the right of abode in other places that would be deemed safe. So that asylum claim would not fly. So again, like taking into consideration that the source of facts here is Malacanang and medyo nakuryente tayo in the last 2 weeks. So parang I'll take it with a grain of salt. Parang kung totoo itong sinasabi na meron nga talaga siyang asylum claim na live in France, ibig sabihin hindi siya Portuguese national. It's very logical na ganun yung situation. Most likely, But of course, di na natin masasabi na baka naman ginawa niya yun kasi meron din naman case ng mga European citizens who have fled a European Union country for another European country or European Union country for political exile. For example, yung dating leader ng Catalan separatist groups. This was around 2018 and he fled to Belgium, lived in Brussels all his life until recently lang sila nagkaaragluan sa Spain. So hindi naman out of the ordinary na hindi naman imposible pero very narrow yung mga circumstances na po pwede to. So anong implications nito, Christian? So ibig sabihin para na tong pwedeng i-file sa same folder na kapareho nung kay Harry Roque na meron na siyang right against non-refoulement. Basically, it just kicks in automatically. It supersedes all other principles under international law and domestic law. France would have to respect it. They do respect it. And the process in France is not dissimilar to what we've been talking about to the Netherlands and to Austria na meron silang two-track system. So you make a claim, and then it is assessed if it's deemed a normal process. It goes through the normal timelines. And if there's a possibility na yung bansa na pinanggagalingan mo, that you're fleeing, belongs to a safe list of countries, then pwedeng weeks ang bilangin dito. And if you're curious, I did check. Philippines is not in the safe list.
Okay. Again, anong ibig sabihin pag wala sa safe list ang Pilipinas? Para malinaw?
Ang ibig sabihin nito is nasa normal processing timeline siya. And on paper, it looks like it's 6 months. I did check. Naglalaro siya anywhere between 3 to 5 months paminsan reaching up to a year if they appeal. So the first office that they go to is the Office Français de Protection des Réfugiés Apatrides. So basically, ito yung mga first instance claim, decision maker ito. Then after that, he would potentially have a route of appeal through the administrative tribunal, yung sa Cour nationale du droit d'asile. So ito yung mga asylum claims. And beyond that, meron pa yung parang pinaka-Supreme Court for administrative decisions in France. Kasi separate yan from civil and criminal. Wala silang yung parang Supreme Court natin na iisa. So sa kanila, sa France, yung administrative decisions, they can go to the Cour de Cassation, if I'm not mistaken. Essentially,
Okay.
lahat ng administrative decisions dun pupunta.
Okay, so ang ang takeaway dito, this would further complicate efforts by the government supposedly to bring back Zaldico, no? So ang binabanggit mo maximum kung dadaan sa normal route, 1 year, tama?
It looks like it, at least for the two
Okay.
levels. And then beyond
Okay.
that, pwede siya mag-appeal sa Cour de
Pwede
Cassation.
pang tumagal. Okay, pwede
Mm.
pang tumagal. So in the meantime, hindi pwedeng mapauwi itong si Zaldico because he has a level of protection by virtue of his application for political asylum. So anong gagawin ng
Correct.
government dito? Hintay lang.
Hintay lang, and government-to-government relations provide all the information that is necessary. It is an administrative decision. It is open to an administrative officer to look at extrinsic evidence. And essentially, they just
Okay.
have to put it to the person claiming asylum to respond to, issues. Kasi
Okay.
political asylum claim to, so, they will have to be sensitive about ano yung reality. So like government-to-government communications, open, but at the same time, it could facilitate the French government into understanding what's going on.
Okay, isa kong tanong dito, Lou, no? Ano ba yan, yung pagtanggap ng application for a political asylum ng isang tao, kunwari ni Zaldico, is that simply ministerial on the part of the country, let's say France? Kailangan tanggapin nila yan? Or they also have that option to reject that outright? Let's say citing government-to-government relations, we don't want to complicate things, and we know who you are. Pwede bang, meron bang ganong option? Or kailangan
I don't
tanggapin
think
nila yan at idaan sa proseso?
Yeah, kailangan silang dumaan sa proseso. Built-in yan sa proseso. It is an international commitment that France has. They respect international law. They respect the rights of refugees and asylum seekers. The best that could happen here is potentially, for some reason, ma-determine na itong case na ito is, on its face, clearly walang merit. If that's the case, it could go through the faster process instead of the normal process. In that case, weeks ang bilangan.
Okay. In the meantime, again, we are assuming here na totoo yung sinabi ng Malacanang na nag-a-apply ng political asylum si Zaldico sa France. So, ibig sabihin, throughout the process, nasa France lang siya, hindi siya pwede lumabas to any other Schengen area or country.
That's correct. And, putting in the Dublin regulations into the mix. So, ibig sabihin, yung visa niya was issued by the French embassy in Manila, most likely. Because that's where he should be claiming, assuming na correctly filed yung kanyang asylum claim. If that's the case, then he should not be leaving. So itong pag-ikot niya sa Europe, yung kanyang yung Euro tour niya, nakapagtataka. The only way that I can kind of make sense of it is if he filed it very recently and baka nakapuslit lang, nakalabas. Alam naman natin yung iba nakakalabas at nakakapasok ulit because the borders within the Schengen zone, they don't really exist in the traditional sense. So, I don't know how the French authorities are going to see it. Parang pwede tong gamiting technicalidad as abandonment of the claim, potentially. I don't know if they're going to approach it that way. Pero in theory, he should be staying in the country where he claimed asylum.
Oo. Kasi ang problema dito, hindi natin alam yung sequence, hindi natin alam yung timeline. No? Sinabi lang ng Malacanang na nag-a-apply for political asylum. So, ang impression ng tao dyan, ngayon lang yan nag-apply o recently lang. Pero bakit siya pero kung nag-apply siya before, paano siya nakakapag-ikot-ikot, hindi ba? I mean, there are many different permutations of the situations.
Correct. I mean, normally those who are in possession of a Schengen visa can stay up to 90 days in the Schengen zone within the 180-day window period, diba? So, pwede kasi yung situation niya, min-maximize niya yung 90 days as a tourist, paikot-ikot, wala namang restriction, wala pa namang warrant, walang red notice. So, walang restrictions, diba? And as long as the passport is valid, as long as your IDs are valid. And then potentially, on the 89th day, pwede siya nag-file ng claim within the Schengen state. So, within France, in that case. Pero once that claim is filed, he's not supposed to leave.
Okay. Eto lastly, Lou, 'no? So, assuming again 'no, na talagang merong pending application ito si Zaldico, we really
Hmm,
have to take it with the sack of salt 'no, hindi lang grain. Because of the, recent, tawag dito,
kerfuffle?
ah, yeah, ng ano, ng government. Okay. So, kailan puwedeng pumasok yung government dito? Puwede mag-intervene, let's say inform the French authorities about who Zaldico is, tell them that this is the guy that who is applying for this political asylum.
I would use the normal streams if I were the government of the Philippines. So I would use the DFA lines of communication through the DFA to the embassy and get assurances from the French authorities in the French embassies on how they would communicate to whom they would communicate this. This would potentially be treated as extrinsic evidence by the decision maker. Of course, in an open system, Mr. Ko would have the ability to respond to that when faced with the evidence presented by the
Mm.
government of the Philippines. And also, like, anyone really could write to the to the to the office in France and basically, magano kayo, maggunting kayo ng mga news clippings, i-compile ninyo, padala ninyo in
Mm.
French, in English, at para maintindihan. Extrinsic evidence to, it's part of like the information gathering process ng decision maker in order to come to a decision. Hindi lang naman yung, well, the burden of proof is of course to the person who is claiming asylum to prove what they're claiming. Of course, it's open to the administrative tribunal officer, or rather yung ano nga, yung sa first instance nga niya, na tumingin din ng extrinsic evidence. So at that point, pwedeng mag-research kumbaga. Inquisitorial kasi to, hindi naman to actual parang court proceeding.
Okay, ito para lastly 'no, if you were to advise this government kasi mukhang ang pinag-usapan natin kahapon, mukhang hindi nila alam yung ginagawa nila. Wala silang plano at least based on what they have been, doing and saying out in public. If you were to advise the Marcos administration, what would that be on how to go after Zaldico, assuming again, that he's really applying for a political asylum?
How to go after? Well, then the normal lines of communication through the DFA, through the embassy, put all the information to the embassy and ask for it to be transmitted to Paris essentially, so that the decision maker has all the information on hand. For example, alam nating may live cases against Mr. Ko. That decision maker in Paris might not necessarily have access to that. I don't know if like those pleadings that were filed in a court in the Philippines are online and accessible by the general public. But the government could take that initiative. Pero ang panawagan ko rin lang siguro is let's sort the facts out first. Kasi from yesterday's conversation, it seems to me that they don't even know their basic facts in order to actually formulate a prosecutorial strategy for this particular case. So from a narration, a basic narration lang of like the baseline facts, you can formulate a strategy na. And at that point, yun na nga, government to government relations are important, so that those pieces of information can reach the French government and that the officer deciding the case will have access to that information.
Okay. O sige, with that, maraming salamat sa iyo, Lou Jansen Dangselan. Isa po siyang immigration law expert na based po dyan sa Canada. Of course, is very familiar with all these complications. Ayan, dyan po sa situation ni Zaldico. Siya yung kinakausap natin before. Doon naman sa situation ni ex-human rights lawyer, Harry Roque. Magandang umaga sa iyo dyan. And again, maraming salamat for joining us tonight.
Maraming salamat, Christian, and magandang gabi sa mga tagapakinig.
Okay, thank you. Yan po, si Lou Jansen Dangselan. Isa po siyang abogado na based po dyan sa Toronto. Okay, so yun na po muna. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. Ako po si Christian Esguera.